Hello, welcome to day 13. Today we talk about objections. So these are obviously something that is a huge part of this business, and really a part of any business, and that's okay. This is expected. People don't know everything that you know about the products or about the business, about, what coaching is, or really, a lot of the coaching life. And when people don't know things, they're more likely to say no or not want to learn more or, find some excuse. And also, you're introducing huge potential life changes to people, which can be really scary and, again, inspire people to come up with excuses and objections that aren't always reasonable, but, a lot of it comes from fear, a lot of it comes from misinformation, and some of it comes from lack of information. So I think when it comes to objections and dealing with them, there's really a few things that I suggest. So first of all, I think a nice activity is to kind of sit down and write out a bunch of objections that you can think of, whether it be price, or this is a scam, or I don't have time, think of every little excuse you can think of or every objection that somebody might come up with, and try to think ahead and think of ways to respond to those or to inform people better, or just basically how to address any possible objections. That way, as soon as they might arise, you'll be ready to answer them and respond to them appropriately. Aside from that, I think phrasing of things you ask or things you say can make a big difference in sort of eliciting those objections. So one big thing I've learned is don't ask people, well, did you like it? Or what'd you think? Because that automatically gives our human brain sort of the opportunity to complain and to point out the negative, and that's not what you want. You want people to come out with the positive, that whatever it is, even if they're not interested in something, there's something they probably liked, there's something they enjoy, there's something that clicked with them or stuck with them. So I think, say you show a video to somebody about Shakeology, ask them, well, what did you like about it? Or, is there anything in that video that you really connected with? Try to find ways to phrase things that elicits a positive response and a positive emotion out of people. And, try to not give them the opportunity to give you a negative response, basically is what I'm saying. Aside from that, be careful how you provide information. You're not supposed to be an expert here. There's a reason Beachbody puts out all this training material and all these videos and, has all these materials ready to go for you to distribute to people. Because you don't have to know what every single product is exactly like, or every single detail behind Insanity, every single detail behind Shakeology, and every single detail between Hip Hop Babs and P90X, or every single detail about Beachbody. It's not your job to be informed about everything. Your job is to connect people to the right resources so they can get informed and make their own decisions. So my big tip here is don't try to be that expert about everything, because oftentimes we can't remember every single little detail. And if we get something wrong, that automatically kills your credibility, and that is so hard to get back, especially with strangers. As soon as you give them some fact that you think you remember correctly, and then they Google it and find it's the opposite, they'll never listen to you again. So if there's something you do know, great, feel free to share that. But if there's something you're not sure about, or there's something that you feel is a little bit outside of your own experience, say somebody asks about a program that you've never done and you can't speak of, send them a video, send them, a success story, go through the product guide, even send them that. It's okay to share this information with them. But don't feel like you have to remember every single fine detail. That is not your job. As coaches, we're not their teachers, really. We're there to guide. We're there to send people to the best resources possible. And if there's a question that they have to, that we just can't answer, we either send them to customer service, or you can contact Coach Relations. But don't feel like you have to carry the burden of having all this information stored up in your head so that anytime anybody asks you anything, you have to know it. Because again, if you get anything wrong, it's going to be a huge blow to you and your credibility, and you don't want that. And it's not your job to know all this information. It's not your job to know every single detail about Shakeology. Again, this is why this information is readily available through your Coach Online office or even just through Google, because it's supposed to be easier for you to connect people to whatever resources it takes to deal with their curiosity, their misinformation, their assumptions, whatever it is. So that's really sort of my big tips with dealing with objections, is don't feel like you have to know every single detail. If somebody objects with something and you're not sure about it, it's okay to send them to resources. It's okay to send them to a video or, a web blog or whatever. And again, when you ask for responses to invitations or to, a video that you sent or whatever, make sure you phrase your questions in ways that force the people to think about what they liked, what they enjoyed, and other positive things out of the experience. And then try to feed off of that. And then lastly, this is where we sort of go back to, helping people figure out their why and helping people figure out their goals and their dreams and aspirations, because then when they give you objections, when you respond to them, make sure you connect your suggestions or information back to what it is they want, what it is they ultimately are dreaming of. Connect it back to what their emotional connection is to some success point or some achievement, and make them see that what they told you they long for somehow connects back to what you're offering them. And that's when things like money and time sort of disappear as an objection, because you're telling them, you told me you have this problem, I have this exact solution, and it meets this criteria that you told me about. So relate it back to what they told you, which also shows that you're listening, and that obviously builds some trust and credibility there. And it helps them make that deeper connection to whatever it is you're trying to show them. So that's sort of my spiel on how to deal with objections. I hope that's helpful. If you have any more questions or if there are things that you'd like covered a bit more, just please let me know. Alright, that's it for now.